Alright. It's been a little while since I've done this, but back to doing a stream. Hello everyone. So recently I've been getting back into, well, writing and drawing and so on. And I picked up a book written by the author of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Hirohiko Araki. And well, early on one of the chapters, he is talking about how to create your first page and how to create an alluring thumbnail, the kind of thing that will help draw people in. And so one of the things he's just doing was to look at existing thumbnails and the like, and see which ones stand out, which ones look nice, and what do you assume when you look at these different thumbnails. So I figured that I'd go onto Crunchyroll and just for a quick video, just go through this first page and have a look at these thumbnails and see what you'd guess about the series just from looking at them. I haven't had much time to catch up on anime recently, so I actually have not watched a lot of these myself. Of course, I've heard of a lot of them, but there's also a lot I don't know. So, the first one here we have Overlord. So, I think from this one, what you'd see... It's a bit hard to see from the thumbnail. I think I'm familiar enough with the series to know there's the main character here. But... I mean, I think if you weren't as familiar, you might think that... Well, because normally you'd place the main character towards the front, so it'd be, one of these two, obviously. But because it's called Overlord, you might think it's this guy. Well, I'm not sure. I think that might also be the main character. I'm not sure. But it's also like a very dark piece. There's not a lot of background, and the red makes it look very menacing. Can I zoom in on this a little bit? Yeah, that's a bit nicer. A bit easier to see. Other than that, well, you can see the supporting cast in the background, but it makes it very clear that these two are the main characters. Next up, Cinderella Chef. Again, you have the main characters in the front. Because it's called Cinderella Chef, I'd assume that this woman here is the main character, and that perhaps this guy here is her friend. And you have the other characters. They might even be some same characters, I'm not sure. I think between having the moon and having the very light style, it's sort of reminiscent of how do I put it? Well, it's a very Japanese kind of thing. The clothing too, the clothing. Between the clothing, having the moon there, and having like this kind of palette, like the lighter kind of palette, it makes me think. It makes me associate it with like Japanese folklore and that kind of thing. I can't quite see what's over here on the right. I think it might just be the outfit. And there's some plants down here in the front, and there's a field. Can't see it when I hover over it because this is add to queue. But it looks like there's a field there, so between all of that, it evokes a very like a countryside kind of vibe. So perhaps it's about a girl from the country who like comes and makes food for. This guy seems very more fancy. Seems to have more fancy clothing, so maybe she's from the country and she goes to make fancy people some fancy food. Next up, Love Live. It looks like there's another season of it. I have watched the first season, I think. So I'm sort of vaguely aware of what it's about. It's about idol groups. Which I would assume that for this season, this is the group, the cast. This one standing out to the left is probably the leader. I think having the sky and the rainbow really does evoke a sort of sense of freedom I think it gives me the. I think between the school uniforms and it being with this kind of background, it sort of looks like a school rooftop, which I think reminds me that I think in the first season that's where they practiced a lot. Um, I'm not sure why, but it feels like there's a lot of legs. Well, I don't know, the legs are sort of stand out for some reason. I can't quite put my finger on why. But anyway, they stand out. Other than that, with the characters having like happy expressions in general, you'd expect a kind of like light-hearted school show. Link, click. This one, I think the character on the right, I think, looks more like a main character. The one on the left has more like aloof expression, and so you sort of think of the one on the right as being more, I don't know, relatable or active. Either that, or it's the kind of thing where the one on the left is like the main character, and this is his like bad boy rival kind of thing. There's a clock in the background. Speaking of which, he's wearing a watch. This is another show I have no idea what it's about. But I think between the two, between those elements, it kind of makes me wonder if there's a sense of time travel. I think also because, I don't know, this guy has white hair and the kind of sci-fi looking watch. Like, I know we have watches like this these days, but it still sort of emulates that, and so it makes me think that there might be some time travel involved. Maybe a mystery of some kind? This guy seems to be reaching out, and this guy not as much. I don't know. I think the main appeal is that, you know, you have these two good-looking guys on the front. But other than that, I think it's, other than the clock, it's kind of difficult to tell what it's about. Like whether it's a mystery or an adventure story, or I don't know, a romance. Anyway, what's this? Uzaki-chan wants to hang out. Okay, so this looks like, I'm sort of vaguely aware of this as a slice of life or comedy or romance of some kind. Let's see. I think the fact that it's set in the countryside, well, not countryside, but like along a path, near the ocean with the sky, and again, like kind of like Love Live, it makes this sort of light sort of feel to it. There's a cat, I think, back there. I don't know, it just looks like they're sort of going for a walk, basically. I think combined with the title makes it feel like it's a very slice of lifestyle show. I think she's got this sort of mischievous smile on her face, and this guy doesn't look like, the guy down here doesn't seem to be paying attention to what's going on, so it looks like she's going to be playing a prank on him. And I suppose these two would be the sporting cast. Yeah, so I think this might be a bit of a... It seems like the kind of show where this one plays pranks on this guy. But it's a sort of... But overall it's kind of like light-hearted fun show. Orient. This one I haven't seen before. I think with the outfits, it looks very... like, very much a fantasy style story. You've got the character who looks like a shonen or like action manga like protagonist down here. He's kind of off to the side, but I think in this case, because they're sort of arranged in such a way, it sort of looks kind of inviting. So maybe they're part of like an organization, like kind of like Fairy Tail or something. It's also called Orient, but that also doesn't tell me very much. There's something back here, like a door or a vault or some kind, and there's a fire back there as well. So, but I think because of the weapons and the outfits, I'd guess that it would be some kind of fantasy, like a medieval fantasy kind of thing. Probably set in like Japan or China, or yeah. I'm not familiar enough with the clothing to know specifically where these characters might be from. Although it does make this one look kind of out of place. But it's probably the kind of thing I'd want to watch if I was looking for an action show. My Dress Up Darling? One I've heard about a bit. Let's see, I suppose the main thing here is that you got this like gothic looking girl looking in a mirror. And I gather that the idea is that this character is the kind of like the heroine, and she dresses up in different outfits. And you can see she's got a mannequin here. Down here you can see her different tools and so forth, and like the wigs and so on. So I don't know. I mean, it seems like it would be a show about dressing up and cosplay and that kind of thing. Sorry, I caught my tongue for a moment. I think because, I don't know, she's on a bed and it looks very fluffy and it's very pink. So it seems like it'd be a very, how do I put it, like, emotional in a way, you'd imagine. I can't quite tell what these two black lines up here are. It sort of looks like it goes behind the mirror and then out this side and there's something hanging off, but I can't quite tell what that is. It might be tape measures or a wig. Yeah, other than that, probably the kind of show that you would watch if you were interested in cosplay. That kind of thing. The Rising of the Shield Hero, I think I've watched the first season of this. But putting that aside, what, like, imagine if we hadn't, what would we infer from watching this? It's called Rising of the Shield Hero, and we have the character with the shield here. My music just went onto the wrong video there. I rearranged my D drive recently and that deleted all my music, so just for this quick stream I decided to just run it through YouTube, but YouTube is jank. I decided to just go and play go onto autoplay it for some reason, which was annoying. Anyway, the Shield Hero. Yes, you'd assume that this is the Shield Hero. I know from watching the show that this is the sort of main heroine here. But it sort of implies that these two take the more central role, and that everyone back here is a supporting cast, and you have maybe the villain in the back. It's usually how you assume these layouts go. I think much like Overlord, it's got a very dark sort of aura, which makes you think it'll be relatively gritty, I guess. I can't really tell. It looks like there's another person back here and some smoke of some kind. It's difficult to see on these thumbnails. There's an interesting design on the shield. So it's definitely magical. You can tell it's a fantasy, a magical kind of fantasy series rather than a just a historical drama or something like that. I can't quite tell his expression. He looks very, I don't know, stern, I guess. But other than that, I think you'd expect between the title and the appearance, you'd expect a show about a character who's going on an adventure in a fantasy land. Classroom of the Elite. I actually don't know anything about this one. I mean, it's got a classroom, but it's got a clever-looking fella here. He's sort of looking like at the corner of his eye towards the camera, towards the viewer, which makes it seem like he might be up to something. The classroom's otherwise empty. There's actually not that much you can tell about this, I don't think. Like, between the title and the title and the picture. The title is Classroom of the Elite, and the picture is of a student, you'd assume, standing in a classroom. So, I want to say that because he's on his own, and because the classroom is empty and it also looks kind of strange, like there's these things under the desk. I'm not sure if they're on... I don't know, because I know some desks have, like, you know, walls on them. But also, generally, when you think of, like, the anime high school kind of thing, they're usually open. And so it makes it look unusual. And so it kind of puts me in mind of, like, a battle royale kind of thing. So this guy's got to, you know, think of clever ways to one-up his classmates. Maybe not even like a straight-up battle royale, he's just got to... sorry, I was trying not to read the blurb when it comes up, because it'll come up when I hover over it. But, yeah, it makes me think he's like a clever character who thinks of ways to outwit his other classmates, and they're trying to outdo each other, basically. Also, this seat looks like it's sideways. I'm not sure if that means anything. Maybe it's his seat and he got up from it, and so it's facing this way? I can't tell. No, it's curved towards the left. I don't know if that means anything. I think also the outside is obscured, so it doesn't give off as much of a friendly vibe like this, or this, because you can't see the sky or the greenery. So it draws the focus very much into the interior. I don't know, I don't think there's too much else I can say about this. I think because he's got his jacket undone and his tie is a bit loose, he kind of makes me think that he's going to be the kind of character who is, you know, he literally doesn't want to hang out with the other kids, but yeah, he can be clever when he wants to. Fire Force. It's another one I've watched a little bit of. It's very filled. The thing again, you'd expect the main character to be here. I think that's the main character. And also, like, the characters are usually more in focus, sort of towards the front. Because the title's very central in this one, as opposed to a lot of the other ones where it's down the bottom or up the top. Or even in the corner, up here. So, I mean, let's see. I think because you have this colourful cast in the back, that would sort of make you assume that it's kind of more supernatural kind of things. Like, this guy looks mysterious, this guy looks mysterious. And all the characters are wearing, you know, glowing, like, firefighters outfits. Then we've got this mysterious looking person over here. I think because the characters are all sort of coming at you in a way, it'll probably lead you to assume it's kind of action series, which is what it is. It's difficult to separate my, you know, because I've watched a little bit of it, so I'm sort of aware that it is like an action series. I'm trying to keep that separate from making guesses. But like I mentioned, you'd expect like these two down the bottom and him to be the central ones. This character here, well, these two look kind of villainous in the back, and this one here, how do I put it? Seems like the more, I don't know, you know how sometimes you have like the antagonists that the characters fight a lot, but then you have the ones that are backing that character? It kind of gives us that kind of vibe. I don't know, it's difficult to talk about because I have actually watched that one a little bit. Um, Fruits Basket. Another one I've heard of. I'm not super aware of it. Um, it kind of, I don't know, with between the ropes and the kind of ghostly figure here, it makes me think about, I don't know, like some kind of exorcism or like, I don't know, kind of like Ghost Hunt or, you know, kind of series that's about getting rid of ghosts and spirits and things. Um, I think the school characters are kind of like par for the course. This guy looks a bit like mysterious off to the side. This character's wearing like more traditional kind of outfit, and same with the ghostly figure. I can't really see what's happening with the one up the back in the left. They've got some kind of thing, which might be a really big sword or a bow or something, or maybe that's just the rope. No, it's just the rope. Um, yeah, like I've been saying, you usually imagine that the characters in the front are the main characters, but because this guy's kind of off to the side and looking away, it kind of makes her feel more like more central. Hmm. This guy looks a bit confused. um, I don't know. I think going into this, I'd expect some kind of like supernatural mystery story, which I'm not sure if that's what if that's what a Fruits Basket is about. I'm sort of vaguely aware. Um, it's a romance, and the guys turn into I don't remember if it's like foxes or dogs or cats or something. If they if they get wet, I might be getting mixed up with something else. Um, except we've got Vanguard. Uh, played a lot of Vanguard. I don't know. This feels like I don't know. You know how a lot of anime like they'll sort of start off with like the fun, like cover, and then as things get more serious, they have the more like mysterious looking one. So this feels like the kind of thumbnail you get, like in Act Three, like for the Act Three sort of airing. So this one's kind of hard one to do actually. I mean, you got probably the main character. I haven't watched this particular series, and he's got his card, so that way you know it's like a card game anime. Um, I think the title doesn't really tell you that much, unless like the character wearing a jacket is him being overdressed. I can't tell if he's looking at the card or at the camera, but I don't know. It's a very simple one. Um, I don't know. You kind of go into it and you'd expect a card game anime. There's not much else to say about it. A card game anime, and it also feels like it's you're jumping in halfway because of, like I mentioned, the kind of Act 3 style, I don't know, feeling you get from it. I'm going to move on because I don't think I can talk about that. I don't think there's much I can say on it. Fairy's album. I've not heard of this one. Um, this looks interesting. So there's a lot of lanterns. It's very red. You can see these sort of traditional looking houses in the back with a few figures around. It kind of looks like a festival of some kind. And you have this figure in the front who's putting a lantern out. I don't know, how do I put it? It's very peaceful. I don't know, sometimes at a festival you expect there to be a lot of people, but I can only see one figure here and possibly one off to the left. It kind of gives me a sort of introspective vibe. Like the show is going to be very... I don't know, I think this would definitely have a stronger impact if I knew what the festival was about. I think that will definitely make a huge difference to how I'd perceive this. The Dark Sky, I think unlike the other ones where I said the Dark Sky makes it look more menacing, in this one it kind of just looks like it's set at night. Because, well, obviously if you're going to have a lantern festival, a festival involving a lot of lanterns and lights and things, you want to set it at night so you can see them very well. I think I'm not sure if this would be a sort of medieval or historical sort of setting, or a fantasy setting, or even a modern setting, because I know there are places that will have this kind of scenery, even these days. It's called Fairy's Album. So it kind of makes me feel like, I don't know, part of me makes me wonder if it's going to be the kind of thing where you get a lot of short stories from people, like various people who have attended this festival. Maybe everyone who puts out one of these candles has like their own story. And that's what we look at. Maybe she is in fact like collecting the lanterns, I don't know. Unfortunately, I feel like there's not much I can say about it because I don't know a lot of significance. I think there's actually stalls in the back. I didn't notice before. Yeah, I'm gonna have a drink of water. I'm glad I only decided to do this one page because otherwise this could take quite a while. We've been here nearly half an hour already. Requiem of the Rose King. This kind of looks like vampires. Because the main character is pale, has black hair, like a black outfit. And there are like red and white roses. And quite often you'll get those in like anime vampire stories. Like, Vampire Night and that kind of thing. You sort of associate them with roses. Because, well, I don't know, rose is just a fun metaphor for everything because they're red, they can be white, they have thorns, so on and so on, they grow everywhere. I think this guy, I don't know, because he looks so different to the other characters, it makes me think that, how do I put it, he's kind of like an observer of something going on between like these two. So these ones, I don't know, how do I put it? It's sort of like this side has a blue background, this side has a red or orange background. I don't know, it kind of makes me think it'll be a kind of sci-fi. Well, I don't know. I think it's partially because the outfits kind of remind me of the ones from Last Exile. It's probably not actually going to be sci-fi. These two here have like fairly normal. Like you see their colors there, and they look like fairly normal outfits. It's just very hard to tell what it's actually going to be about. Like other than that, these are the characters. Maybe this character in the middle is some kind of assassin? Like he's got this equipment, like these belts, and this like looks kind of shiny. I can't really tell from the thumbnail. It kind of reminds me of like Romeo and Juliet kind of thing. You have like the two separate sides, and you have like the observer or the narrator. This one I think is a bit hard to tell. It's pretty, but it's hard to tell what it's about. Futo Pie. P? I don't know. This one looks like it's got these two characters here. I think typically when the character wears the black hat, it means he's kind of like a rogue, or like a kind of a bad guy. I think there's a woman in the back. So it kind of gives me the vibe that these two are characters who like don't like each other, but they both want to help this woman. I think the city and sort of the neon color of the shoreline, it makes me think it's going to be some kind of like sci-fi kind of setting, combined with how this emblem here has these etchings in it, which look a bit like a circuit board. They kind of look like a computer chip. And the green and the purple, and it's divided along the it's divided halfway. So I suppose it could be that these two are like rivals or some kind who don't like each other very much and they're trying to help her, or they're on opposite sides and they're both trying to capture her or something. And I can't really see much of this character in the back. Interestingly, I did just notice that the reflection is different from the top side. So maybe there's like a parallel dimension thing going on here. You know, you have the top side here, and then you have like the other side here, and they're like completely different worlds. Maybe, I mean, that could be an interesting thing. You have like a kind of romance or something where this character here can travel between the worlds. And yeah, and neither of the worlds like each other. And you have these two who also don't like each other. Because they live on opposite sides of, you know, the dimensions, or opposite sides of this line. Oh, that sounds interesting, I guess. It's hard to tell. I don't know. This character here looks more like a philosopher kind of character. He's sort of thinking, he's got this sort of long robe looking thing. Whereas this one, he looks like more of an active character. Like, he still looks like a clever person, but he looks like a lot more active. This one looks like he stays at home a lot. Saint Seiya Knights of the Zodiac. I'm sort of aware this is some kind of franchise, but I don't really know much about it. I think kind of simply, this one kind of has like a very simple but kind of effective design. You know, you have the hero, you have like his team. This character looks like she's... It gives me the vibe that she's some kind of goddess who's giving like the heroes their power. Like, I don't know, kind of like their Master Splinter. Like, I know that's not how it works in like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but like, she's like their guide for the heroes. And this lot here, how do I put it? I think normally I might assume that they're the bad guys. There's a kind of more menacing figure in the middle. But it more looks like that this bunch of people just sort of turned up and these people need to help them like get back to their own time or something. I don't know. But you know, you expect some kind of like action series. Parallel World Pharmacy. I think between the title, I don't know, the title's kind of self-explanatory, as is the case with a lot of these shows. They'll very much spell out what the title, well, in the title, what things are about. It's, I think between the title and the picture, you can tell that these three characters, they work in a pharmacy. That's the one behind the counter. I don't know, probably the pharmacist. I mean, they're all probably pharmacists, right? I mean, I know here, like being a pharmacist is a specific qualification, as opposed to someone who just works in a pharmacy. But aside from that, yeah, the characters work in a pharmacy. So I think because of the light colors, you've got it's sort of bright. There's a bit of shadow off to the right, but otherwise it's kind of brightly colored, which means it kind of feels like it's going to be a light-hearted show. Like, people are going to come into the pharmacy with problems. It's in a parallel world, so maybe they'll come in with like supernatural problems, like a dragon will come in and be like, oh no, I ate too many dwarfs. What do I do? And so these pharmacists have to give them the right medicine so that it'll suck up the dwarves. Yurei Deco. This one's very loud. But you can see these 6, I think, characters. I can't tell if that's a character. I think this one's also holding a cat or something. Anyway, you've got these quite different looking characters here. This one over here looks like there's another face looking towards the camera. And same over here, actually. It looks very much like a festival. I think this cloud, whatever it is, the fact that it's kind of blocky makes me think of like Minecraft clouds. So maybe they're in like a video game. Like I think recently I watched, was it Belle? Where all the characters go into like a virtual reality and they get all these different outfits. Like they can make themselves look however they want, as outlandish as they want. It looks like there's a planet in the back here. If I move my cursor, I don't know, the bright colors give it a very vague sense of space. But it feels like it's going to be the sort of story about people, in a virtual world. But I cannot really tell what they do there, other than sort of have fun. I mean, that said, the three characters on the left are definitely much less colorful than the three on the right. Like you got a pink one here. I got this guy in his like blue shirt and his blue jeans, and this one with like yellow and red. And then this one's just sort of like grey. This one's got like a faded sort of beige. And then this one's sort of grey and like grey, black, and white. I don't know. I also can't tell. It looks like this thing cloud here is made up of zeros. I don't know. Maybe their like virtual reality is like, I don't know, falling apart and they have to work out a way to save it. But beyond that, I can't think of what else it could be about. I'm also going to be moving a bit more quickly because this is actually I spent too much time on the early one. Ruby. We all know Ruby. What do you think? I mean, so people who watch the show, we all know that these four are the main characters. I think you'd expect, maybe from the thumbnail, that these two would be the more central characters, and at least in the back of the more supporting characters. You've got the moon in the back, which is falling apart, as it does, and this tower with the light in it. I guess from that you might imagine that, like, these characters are going on an adventure to get to this tower and, like, find the light in the tower or something. Yeah, it kind of reminds you of, like, a fantasy adventure kind of thing. I don't know. I feel like I can't dwell on this one too much because I watched a lot of, like, I don't know, a lot of Ruby, and also watched a lot of this series in particular as well. Well, yeah, I ended up watching a lot of this series. I don't think I've actually watched the newest episode. Huh. Hanabi-chan, the girl who popped something, something, something. I don't know, this one looks like a cute little comedy sort of series. Like, get some laughs and things. It's got these cute characters. It's got this store in the back where I guess they all live. And it seems like shenanigans are gonna happen. I don't know, you got like the characters in the front who seem to be more active, and you got this guy back here who seems to be having a hard time. So maybe he's the normal guy and he suddenly has to live with a bunch of these weirdos. These three all have hats, so maybe they're like the store workers. Well, she's got a hat as well. I can't tell if she's got a tiny hat on. I don't know, maybe this guy one day comes across like this magical store, which is being run by all these people. And, I don't know, something magical things happen, and he keeps going back there because it sounds kind of fun. Boruto, we all know Boruto. Boruto Next generation. Yeah, so we all know what Naruto is, we all know what Boruto is. What would you assume from the cover? I think, weirdly, from the cover, you'd assume that it's a very modern kind of setting because of these primary color paints, which I don't know, I personally sort of associate it with, like street art, graffiti, all that kind of stuff. Same thing with, like, the sort of fashion here, like the crop top and like the leggings and all that. Like she looks like a very modern kind of girl. So I think if I didn't know, I'd actually just assume this is about some like street kids in like Monday. I mean, it's an anime, so it's probably set in Japan, but like, or maybe even America. I don't know. I think also combined with like this guy's got like his like shaved head in the back and messy hair and his cut off sleeves, so it makes them look kind of like they're like street fighters kind of thing. They actually don't have any weapons on them, so you might not even assume that this is about like fighting ninjas or anything. You might just assume that this is about some kids who live on the street and like make art or something like that. But also context is also important when it comes to art, and so because we all know what Boruto is, they feel fairly confident in just doing this kind of thing. But again, something to keep in mind that you shouldn't assume that your viewer knows what it's about. So this might be a bad example for the creators. Natsume Yujin Sho. I almost automatically started reading the blurb. This looks like you got a dude here. He's reading the book. He's having a good time. He seems quite passionate about his reading. He's got a piece of paper in his mouth. And a cat. So, I don't know, it feels like this is about like either a writer or a guy who like reads stories. He looks kind of pale. I have to wonder if he's sick or something. Maybe he sits at home with his cat and just like reads books all day. Well, it sounds like, he's living the dream. He's living the best kind of life he can. The kimono's kind of fancy though. Like it's got this floral design on it. So maybe he's like a historian or something? That'd be interesting. You have like this historian who's going through these different historical texts and he's trying to learn different things from them, and then we, the audience, get to experience that. It looks like kind of, I think with the I think with the lighter colors, it makes it look very relaxing. Like I wouldn't have to, stress. It's not the kind of show I'd have to stress too much if I watched it. I think between the lighter colors and like the simple looking cat, that's the impression I get. Digimon Ghost Game. We also know Digimon. I don't think I've ever actually watched Digimon, but I've sort of, everyone's aware of it, Pretty simple. I think you've got like our main characters here, like these three. This one here looks like it's a monster that's trying to get them, and these two, I can't see them very well. The fact that it's through like a hidden, the fact that it's through this kind of lens with these plants or something growing along the outside, it almost looks like an eye. It kind of makes me think like, you go through, like they pass into like this magical realm. I don't know, what I'd imagine is that these two would go into a magical realm, and then they meet this guy, who was being chased by this lot up the back, and they have to rescue him. There's like now that I look at it, this looks like a pair of eyes and a grinning mouth back here. Maybe this is what's out to get him. One Piece. We all know One Piece too. This looks very much like, a season conclusion kind of shot. I think that's just because in anime quite often, whenever you have like, these grassy hills and the like cherry blossom trees falling, it's usually associated with graduation. And so, I don't know, this feels like it's the epilogue or the ending thumbnail. Let's see, you've got so we've got the main character here, we've got the supporting cast here. These two back here look way too happy to be bad guys. I can't tell what's up with these two because the thumbnail's too small. And I don't want to bring them up to look too carefully into it. There's something black here, I can't see what it is. I don't know, this figure here maybe looks a bit spooky. I'm not sure. But otherwise it looks like the kind of thumbnail you have when you're wrapping up your series. All the characters get to be happy. The blossoms fall. Yeah, the sky is blue and the grass is green, that kind of thing. Even this thing back here, it almost looks like a school building. I think that's their boat. Anyway, what's this? Delicious party pretty cure. That almost threw me a tongue twister. It looks like a magical girl show. Yeah, they've got the frilly dresses and like the color coded characters. Yeah, you got a heroine, your two friends. These three look like the main characters, and this looks like our. I don't know. She looks like the kind of character who will be like kind of your antagonist for a bit, but will eventually join the party. That looks like the little mascot character there. It kind of looks like a circus made of candy. So maybe it's like circus themed? I think what actually tells me most about what the series is actually about is this character back here. In that, I don't know, because she looks very grounded compared to the other three. The other three have like very, outlandish, very like fancy, loud outfits. Whereas this one in the back sort of helps ground the rest of them into like a more like modern setting, I guess. Like, you have the fancy hat, you have the mask, cape. So I think it's going to be like, I think in terms of Magical Girl show, it'll be more one that's set in like modern times. So more like Sailor Moon as opposed to like, take for example Nanoha, which is more set in space, or like Symphogear, which is like more sci-fi and they sort of fly all over the world. The maid I hired recently is mysterious. I think I watched an episode or two of this. I mean, here's the maid. Here's the mysterious maid. I think she's got like purple eyes. So I suppose that's might be the mysterious thing about her. You might wonder if she's like magical, like Jahi. It looks like Jahi. And I guess this, yeah, and we know this is the guy that hired her, but I don't know. I think because of her pose, it kind of makes me. You kind of get the impression that this is like a very fan servicey kind of show. Yeah, it's about showing off how sexy the maid is. And again, the brightness it helps make you feel like this is going to be a relaxing kind of fun show as opposed to like a super dark one. Because it's literally quite bright. So I think that's the thing I definitely have to remember when I'm designing my own like pages and things. The brightness definitely gives you it puts you in a good mood. Actually, this looks like a soccer show because the characters are on a soccer field and they got a soccer ball there or a football. Yeah, I don't know. I think soccer, football. I think a lot of people just call it soccer. I'm gonna call it soccer because I started calling it soccer. This guy here looks like our main character. You've got his team in the background, and this guy looks like his coach. I suppose the fact that they're in a stadium sort of speaks to their character's ambition of being excellent at sport. But other than that, I think the main purpose of this thumbnail is to show all the characters. So you can see, oh yeah, that character looks like a character I might be interested in watching. Because you can sort of, I don't know, because the character's designed well, you can sort of tell an amount about them just based on how they look. Like this guy down here looks like a tough guy because he's got the pretzel hair. This guy looks mischievous because he's smirking. This guy's also got the. I don't think pretzel hair is the right word, but that hairstyle. I cannot think of the word for it at the second. I didn't notice that this character back here is facing away from the camera, so maybe this character doesn't show up until later on the show. Okay, what's next? A couple of cuckoos. This kind of reminds me of what is it? The Order of Rabbit. I think because this character looks like I don't know, I thought she was carrying like a kettle or something for a moment, but they're actually all carrying eggs. I have no idea what those eggs could mean, and they're all sitting in a bird's nest. I mean, essentially, what you'd gather is that they're all sitting in the same... Like, these characters all now live in the same house. And so it's going to be like a... I'd imagine a rom-com between, like, this character and the other three. I feel like the title, Cuckoos, has to have some sort of meaning to it. I'm sort of aware that cuckoos sing nicely, but also replace other birds' eggs with their own. So maybe that means that they're like they're all like, you know, they're all actually family members or something. Maybe they don't know that each other is family. Like, maybe all of them just think that they're like, it'd be interesting if it turned out that all of them, I don't know, like none of them are like birth related, but they all live together. That could be an option. Or another one could be that they all live together, but secretly they're all actually related. I think again with the bright colors, it sort of makes you think it's going to be like a kind of, you know, a light, even comedic kind of series. But definitely the focus is on like the... I think, yeah, because the focus is on the 3 female characters, you definitely feel like it's going to be more of like a romance. Like between this guy, like the focus is on the girls. Engaged kiss. That's an interesting thumbnail actually. I think between the blue sky, this tower, and the sort of sandy color, it makes me think it's set in like a desert. No, I think the main thing that makes me think that is this tree here. It kind of looks like a palm tree. I'm not an expert on trees, but it makes me sort of think that, you know, maybe they're all out in the desert for some reason. I don't know, maybe they have to go and like fight Dio. I don't know. This character is the most central, so she's the heroine. Because there's 3 women and 1 guy, it makes me think he's the main character. This nun-looking lady over here. This sort of like, what is it? She looks like a flight attendant or an office lady. And this schoolgirl in the front. I think aside from that, I can't really tell too much about it. Like, I think the setup, because of having like 3 women and a guy, sort of makes me think it's gonna be like a romance kind of show. I think the fact that he's wearing this coat and he's got his hands in his pocket and is sort of looking away makes him look a bit suspicious. So it could even be that like he's some kind of spy. Oh, this the shadow here. You can't see. Actually, no. You can. So when you look at the shadow, you can see there's like a knife or something. You can actually see it behind the girl here, but it's sort of covered by the title. I almost missed it. No, I don't think. No, actually, it seems like there's like something written underneath it, or maybe it's a shadow for the title or something. So maybe that's not even like that line there is not even the knife. So maybe they are spies. It's a very fancy looking knife though, so you have to wonder if maybe... I mean, the character's design makes it look very magical. Like having the pink hair and the knife, that kind of, and the red eyes. Makes it look very magical. Licorice recoil. Let's see. I think again you got like with the bright colors. These 2 are probably the main characters again. I think the main interesting thing to look at here is the tear along the middle, and it suddenly becomes a lot darker along the bottom half. So maybe all the characters in this show have some kind of secret. Alternatively, the animation, like the way the characters are drawn, looks a lot different here. It's very darker and a lot more deliberate, whereas here it's very soft and like bright. So maybe these characters are like normal people by day, and then by night they're like some kind of superhero? I can't tell. This character here, the one on the left clearly has like some kind of gun, and the one on the right has something that's shining, but I can't tell what it is. With that said, also the characters up here in the daytime portion also have some kind of light. So maybe they're all just like in on it. I can't tell. The uniforms down here seem kind of similar as well, whereas up here they're... Well, actually, they're not actually that different. This one's wearing red, but the rest of them are wearing the sort of black-green outfit. And also the one at the back there in the middle is also wearing the same red outfit. So maybe there's some kind of organization that fights like vampires or some kind of like, you know, nighttime monster. That kind of thing. I feel like this tower that's leaning has something to do with things and its spindly legs. But I'm gonna move on now because I'm getting tired. I suddenly got passionate at midnight and now it's 2 AM. Shoot, Goals of the Future. This one also looks like a football show. Like a sports show. You got, you know, our main character and you got his 3 friends who they all play sports together. I think that's football. And you've got like this guy back here who's like, I don't know, maybe their coach, or they've sort of given him a more sinister look, so perhaps he's I don't know, maybe he's the main character's dad and he just doesn't want to play with soccer, I don't know. I think interestingly you've got like this castle in the back. On top of this hill. So I wonder if perhaps that maybe this character's from like a rich family and he lives in this castle and he wants, you know, his dad wants him to, you know, become a rich business owner, but he wants to play soccer. That could be a thing. I just wanted to show that like it's Japanese. If you couldn't tell from the fact that it's an anime. Black Summoner. I think I actually watched a little bit of this. Yeah, I think again you've got that this is the main character. And these like 2 of the heroines. I think in the show these are all like his party members, like you got like Slime and so on and so on. But I think from a casual glance you might think that this guy back here is like a bad guy. And this back here is like a... Well, I mean, this character is the goddess. But yeah, you think that, and this is like the character that... Blah. And this is the goddess. I think mainly you can tell from this character's pose that it's going to be more of an action show. I suppose also this guy here, he's got, I think, a sword. Can't tell too well with the thumbnail. Yeah, and the slime just sort of tells you it's a fantasy show, so it's an action fantasy show. Kingdom. Another one I've heard of but not watched. I don't know, you've got these very serious looking characters who are like striding out as if they're about to go into a fight. You can tell a bit about each of the characters, like, you know, you've got a warrior here, like the warrior leader here. You've got this fighty dude back here. This woman here looks like she might be a priestess of some kind. This guy looks like he's the team strategist. I can't tell too much about her, she's kind of small. Like in the background of the shot, so it's kind of hard to see too much about her. She's not wearing the same kind of uniform as the rest of them are, though. I don't know, maybe she's the character's love interest. I don't know. You've got this barren field. I think that looks like a fortress in the background. Like a wall there. And the sun is behind them. So yeah, it definitely looks like they've strode out of this keep in order to go, like, go fight. Maybe that's their kingdom. Extreme Hearts. This one... This one makes me think it's going to be either an idol show or like a magical girl show. I think because the characters have these matching sort of outfits, and they're kind of frilly, which is usually the kind of thing you get in like magical girl show or idol shows. These buildings back here, they look very sci-fi, like very futuristic. You got the sky, which gives you some freedom, and the title down here, which actually they've at least just blocked off this entire like corner in black, so that where the characters are even moving into it, which is surprising. I think I'm leaning more towards them being idols. So maybe they're like futuristic idols. Utawari Rumono, Mask of Truth. Let's see. I think again, yeah, you have your two main characters here. I think because this guy's got a mask on, it makes her seem more like a main character. I know you can have characters who have masks on and so on, but like, it makes him look kind of more of a background character. And then you have these lights between them. This figure here has a box, I think, on the back. And like there's fire in the back, so it kind of seems like this character sort of caused this fire, and these two are out to stop this character from like burning down their village or something. Musashi, no. This, I think we know all the characters have like school uniforms and are in very like anime kind of poses. It makes me think that it's kind of, I don't know, like a school, yeah, like a cute school life show in the vein of something like, I don't know, like Lucky Star, or like, I can't think of another one off the top of my head, but like that kind of show. This character over in the bottom left looks a bit different, and it's also close to the front, which means you think she's important. So this character's probably the main character, and like maybe this one's a close friend. And then this one is like the, I don't know, the new character who like is introduced to these existing characters and sort of changes their life. I think this blue-haired one as well, so it seems like she might also be part of the main cast, because these four at the back are kind of separate. Like they're all grouped together. These two feel kind of grouped together, and this one's also kind of like in between them, I guess. But the character's exaggerated expressions and things sort of make you think that it'll be like, I don't know, very fun. This character looks like she's got a horn too. I can't quite see that. Epen. Laughing till you something. There's a trophy here. We've got what are probably the leading characters here. I wonder what they're competing about. So there's obviously a trophy. It probably has something to do with the background here, so I can see a door here. I can see a staircase back here, I can see a figure looking out from behind it. And this big looking figure in the back here. Or is that someone riding a bear or a horse or something? The fact that it's got a trophy and it's called like Laughing Till You Something makes me think it's some kind of comedy competition. I don't know, maybe they're part of like a school comedy club or something. Or maybe they want to make a drama comedy. Like maybe they're a film club and they're trying to make a comedic film. And that's the competition. This character, I think, rather than, because she's got her arm like just sort of dangling down by the side, it looks less menacing and more like she's just tired. So maybe she's like the teacher. She's trying to get them to focus on their actual studies, but she's exhausted. But that kind of makes her the antagonist. Love all plays. So this looks like a badminton? I think those are badminton rackets. So I guess this show might be about a badminton team. I think again, you can't really tell too much about it, other than, you know, it's gonna feature sport, gonna feature these guys. Uh, this guy is our plucky protagonist. This is his buddy or rival. And this is the rest of the team. Again, because of the way they're designed, you can sort of tell a bit about them. Like, this guy's the cool guy, this guy's the big guy, these two are like the twins, this guy's the smart guy. This one's got, this twin over here sort of has a comedic expression, so maybe he's like a funny guy. A herbivorous dragon of 5,000 years cut us off. I mean, there's actually not much I can tell about the title. Okay, I mean, so we've got that dragon. We've got our main character. And like her friends. You can tell it's a fantasy setting, so maybe just a lot of them go around. Like, all of them, including the dragon, will just sort of go around. The dragon looks very tired. So maybe they try to go places to do things. The dragon is friendly, but also these four keep getting into shenanigans and the dragon has to help them out, and it's kind of like the mum of the group. And again, with the light coloring, it makes you think it's very gentle. So you just kind of, you know, you can just kind of enjoy this show. That over. Another thing I'm vaguely familiar with. Right, the card game. It's the card game, isn't it? You don't usually get characters with this kind of like very fancy hair unless it's the card game show. It looks like each of them has their own little monster. And there's these stands back here with characters that are facing away. It sort of makes me feel like this is like the characters at the back of the previous generation of heroes, and then these three are the new heroes who have to sort of like help them out or like fix the problem when they disappear. I don't actually know that much about it. I think the lights imply they're in like a tournament stage. So maybe these are their like rivals that they have to beat in order to win the tournament. Dragon Quest, the adventure of something. This sort of screams like, you know, fantasy adventure. You got your hero with a sword down here. You got his friends over here. You can tell they're all together because they're all facing the same way, which is an interesting thing to notice. Because even though they're kind of separate from the hero, and they're all sort of fading into the back, like, you know, there's a few rows of them, there's 2 rows of them, and they go further back. I'm not worried about these characters being like the bad guys because they're like facing the same way as the other like members of the hero's party. And this guy's obviously the bad guy. I suppose again you got like the light here, so yeah, it's like a there we go, the adventure of Die. There we go. That's the name of the show. I can see it there if I'm losing my eyes. Yeah, so the light sort of makes you feel like it's going to be yeah, a show where the, you know, there might be struggles for the heroes, but the heroes will win in the end. So it's going to be a sort of, you know, a fun sort of action series. And again, you can tell a bit about the different characters based on their outfits. I think it's kind of hard to tell what this guy's about. He might be a monk of some kind. You got your flame character here, you got your knight-looking guy here, and you got your... I think she's holding an arrow? I can't tell. From the low resolution. What's this? Lucifer and the Biscuit Hammer. That's a bizarre name. Okay, this one I might actually have to spend a moment unpacking. So we've got our 2 main characters here. They are above the earth. I think because they're called Lucifer and the Biscuit Hammer, it sort of makes me think that like maybe they're like above earth in like heaven or something. These characters back here, they're all very washed out and ghostly. So maybe they are like in the afterlife. This one here is being dragged along. I can't tell what's up with that. Maybe it's like Bleach and they have to go and like take people, you know, beat them up and take them into the afterlife. This guy looks very evil. This one looks like, I don't know, one of those characters who's like very powerful, but like also won't help you out. Actually, this guy's got a bit of colour to him, actually. He's got this orange sword-looking thing. And this one over here has a purple thing. It's hard to see again because of the resolution. But I think, again, overall the bright colours sort of make it seem like it's going to be like a bit lighter than this guy here's expression might imply. Because usually you don't get characters making these kinds of expressions in, like, I don't know, fun shows. Fun shows. That sounds way too harsh on shows that use that, but, like, usually shows that have characters that make those kind of expressions are, like, super dark and serious. And so it's sort of at odds with the, you know, the big bright earth and the font even. Like, that font looks like it's out of a children's show. But I have no idea what this, like, I don't know, I really don't know what this could be about. The biscuit hammer. I wonder if that's like a weird translation thing. I'm kind of stumped. Rent a girlfriend. I mean, this kind of looks, this reminds you of Nisekoi, actually. The characters even look like they're out of Nisekoi. I wonder if it's about the same people. I mean, I imagine that these four are like the heroines. How do I put it? I think if it wasn't called Rent a Girlfriend, you'd think it was like a fashion sort of series. But because it's called Rent a Girlfriend, you now think that it's, I don't know, maybe a guy who hires these four to pretend to be his girlfriend at like various times, or maybe, you know, one of them is like, maybe one of them's girl he's actually interested in or something. But like, you know, he hires a number of them at various times, and shenanigans happen. I don't know, I think this one's trying to sell itself on the character of the four, like these four. Like, it's very much like a, you know, harem style show. It's selling itself on its female characters, and it wants you to be like, hey, these are cool characters, and you should watch the show. And I think the title is also kind of gives you a good idea. So, you know, it should be about like a guy who's, you know, hiring or just paying his classmates or something to pretend to be his girlfriend. To, I don't know, maybe he wants to impress his dad or something. I don't know. Shine on Bakumatsu Bad Boys. This was actually a bit hard to see because the characters are all sort of compressed into the center area. So you can't actually see many of them very well. But they look like a bunch of dudes who are about to get into a brawl. They all have their swords and weapons and brooms and things. So this kind of makes me think it's going to be like an action series. I think the tower back here, you know, the outfits and the background, like the way the streets is designed and the houses, makes me think it's sort of nominally set in like a historical setting, but, you know, the characters have these magical weapons and things. Or maybe it's in like a fantasy Japan style thing. I don't know, this guy's very fancy hair. But, you know, if you want an action series, you'd watch that. The Dusk, I think it is. I can't tell. I'm not sure if this is Dusk or Dawn that we're looking at. It makes me think of Dusk, though. I don't know, it's an interesting way to do a shot. Oh, to do a poster, I suppose. Because a lot of the other ones, they're either, like, if we go back up to the top, we can see, like, this one's very dark, this one's very dark, and this one's very dark. Or they're, like, very bright, if they have the sky in them, that is. If they have the sky, they're either very dark or very bright. I suppose this one's kind of an exception, but you can still see the sun. I don't know, it kind of gives me the impression that it's just that it'll look nice. It looks just the kind of thing that maybe in the story they can only like use their powers when it's, you know, on the edge of daytime and nighttime. Maybe they're characters who can like fight. Maybe that'll be an interesting thing. Perhaps you have these characters who can only use their own powers during the daytime, but the monsters come out at night, and so they have to fight them. Like they have to go hunting for them at dusk or dawn. Okay, last one, Shadow's House. This looks like a horror series. Got this rather scared looking girl here. and he's sort of suspended in an awkward pose. So he's kind of doll-like as well. It's called Shadow's house. I don't know, it makes you think that, like, this girl goes into a haunted house, or like a house with creepy people in it. I noticed that each of these three, like the red one, the green one, and the brown one, or gold one? Anyway, they all have their own little shadows back there, but the gold one doesn't have like a... Or rather, this... Oh no, the red one is the silhouette. So the red one, like that's the head of the one wearing the red. The green one does have like a separate shadow in the back, and this one also has a separate shadow. Which I suppose is why it's called Shadow's house, because there's shadows. The fact that she's back to back with the main character makes me think that this is like the main character's shadow, or you know, her shadow, like this girl's shadow. So maybe all the characters have like their own shadows, and the shadows are, I don't know, maybe they're trying to kill them or something. Or maybe the shadows give them like special powers. I think again this is actually more showing off the characters. But it does definitely give you a strong like horror vibe. Oh, no. Sorry, I got this completely wrong. So the blonde girl here, I thought that this green thing here was her like shoulder and her sleeve, but it's actually a hooded figure who was standing in front of her. That's an awkward mistake to make. So we've got this mysterious stranger, and I suppose that which does change a lot of the context of like what I was saying. So that sort of means that the Shadow's house, these three all like live in the Shadow's house, and I don't know, it's spooky. And you have like this mysterious person who like comes in. So it's either that this person who's like running the house, and these three all sort of like live there with various shadowy powers or something, or that these three are living in the house, and then this one comes in, and then something strange happens. I don't know. Anyway, just for fun, before I finish, which shows would I actually watch out of the ones that I have been looking at here? So I've been doing this for, nearly an hour and a half. I think, I don't know, I'm going to differentiate them between like going through the thumbnails and just going through shows I kind of know. I don't know, I think I like the way that this one looks. It makes me kind of interested. I don't know, I like this kind of style, and I like looking at fashion shows. This one, I don't know, I think I was kind of curious about it to see if like the clock had anything to do, because, you know, if a show is time travel or not, that's just interesting, isn't it? But I would have preferred if they'd made it more explicit in the picture. If it was. How to put it? I think the reason I want to go through all of these and tell you which shows I'd be interested in watching is because, I don't know, some shows like to be mysterious. I don't know, some shows are deliberately vague in an effort to try and pull you in, but I don't think that's very effective. Like, usually if a show has a vague sort of premise or, like, picture, I'll just sort of be like, I don't know what it's about, so I'm not going to watch it. Rather than being, oh, hey, I want to watch the first episode of that to see what it's about. No. This one looks kind of interesting, but it could just be because these hips look nice. And I'm very tired. I don't know, this guy has also got this nice outfit. I'm kind of curious about this, actually. Yuri Deco looks like it's the kind of show that's either amazing or kind of boring. I don't know. This one I wouldn't be surprised if, like, I don't know how to put it. It's probably not a show that I'd watch, but I also wouldn't be surprised if it turns out that, like, I don't know, next season it's to like I hear reviews of it being amazing because I don't know, just shows that are more imaginative and have these very outlandish styles. Like, how do I put it? It shows imagination on the part of the designers and the writers, which is, which is interesting. Um, this one I'm also these two here actually. I'm also curious about these two. I don't know. They look vaguely sci-fi, vaguely actiony, and they've got a bit more of like I'm not sure if mature is the right word for it, but I don't know. They look like they have like enough edge to them, I guess, to I don't know, fill my desire to watch action. Because you have to keep in mind that like the shows I'd watch is also a lot of it's based on my personal preference. Like I'm myself not interested in sports shows, and I don't watch a lot of like idol shows and so on. So even if I like the thumbnail, it might just not be a show that I'd be interested in. I think Shadow's House. No, I probably not actually. I was thinking I might. But also it's vague enough that like I don't want to commit to watching an episode just based on that. I wouldn't be surprised if it's good, but like it's the kind of thing that I'd look up a review first to see what it's about, rather than just like watching it just straight up based off this thumbnail. I think similarly, actually, there's a lot of them that I'm curious enough about that I look up a review to see if they're actually good or fit my interests. So like this one, I think this herbivorous dragon one. Oh no, I like dragons, and the Life of Dragon sounds fun. Maybe this one too. I don't know. I think it's coming down to this one. Part of the reason I'm interested is that you can, I don't know, not always, but like quite often, if the show has like male characters in like fancy clothes, it's almost like always going to be like more interesting. Like not all the time, but like in general, if I see a show that's got like male characters in like fancy clothes that look nice and not like super boring looking, that's like it's like a sign of effort, I suppose, that makes me feel like the show's gonna be good. Anyway, I don't want to go into too much negativity. I think that's also why I was interested in these two, because I don't know, these two have like they're not wearing school uniforms for one thing. It's not school uniforms and it's not a suit, and that's like which makes the two's clothing inherently more interesting than the majority of characters. And it's not like it's not like a fantasy show. But anyway, that I don't know. I think in conclusion, I think a lot of this is the kind of thing I was doing for myself because I want to look into what makes good thumbnails, so that when I do my own drawing, I can sort of convey the not the appeal, but like I don't know, I can convey the things I want to convey. I think the main takeaway from this is that the lighting really does affect how you perceive things. I don't know, all these shows with these bright, highly saturated colors just inherently look like very lighthearted and fun, and these ones with like the darker colors will look more serious. Anyway, I think I'm going to wrap this up for now. Thank you all for joining me. It's kind of fun to make a video every once in a while. Especially when it's somewhat educational. I hope so. Well, next up I just have to learn how to draw. But once I do that, I'll be well on my way to making a thumbnail. Anyway, that's all for tonight. Today, this morning, whenever it is you're watching it. Anyway, thanks for joining me, and I will see you all next time. Goodbye.